Hello, everyone, and greetings. Welcome to Faith in an Ever Changing World Encouragement and Hope. I'm Janet Harley, your host, and today is a little bit different. We're going to be talking about God stories of season two. In the filming of Vindication. And I have with me Venus Monique. And Venus is one of the lead detectives, Kris Tanner, on the series. And she's also founder of Personal Powerhouse. And Personal Powerhouse is a business that God gave her where she mentors young Christian women in the film industry and helps them build their dream careers while keeping their integrity. And it's a wonderful, wonderful program. Thank you, Venus, for obeying God and
Mhm.
and doing that. And Jarod O'Flaherty, Jarod is the director producer of Vindication, and he is the award-winning filmmaker behind the crime drama series, and it's faith-based crime drama series, and it's a hit series. And if you haven't seen it, please, I'll do some posting of where you can catch Vindication, the Vindication series. They're actually filming season three right now, and but we are going to be talking about some God stories in season two, right after our short intro. Stay with us. And welcome back. And welcome to you, Jarod and Venus. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you
Looking
for the
forward.
invite.
All right. And looking forward to your God stories. And, Jarod and Venus, we were talking earlier, we see the finished product of a series or a movie. And so we don't get to see a lot of the behind the scenes or know what goes on. Just because it's faith based doesn't mean that things don't happen. So we're looking forward to hearing. Jerry, why don't you give us one of your God stories from season two?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there was a time back when we were filming season two that I brought up a notepad or word pad on my computer and just started writing out like a checklist of all the things that God had done to help us get through that shoot. Is because
Oh,
when you're in the moment and those things happen, you're like, thank you and giving praise, and then you move on, and it's real easy to start forgetting those things as time goes on. And there were so many things that happened. I'm like, I need to document this because
yeah.
I know it'll be so easy to forget all that God had done. Looking back at that list, there was a matter of a couple of crew members that were having a personal dispute between the two of them.
Uh-huh.
And at the time I was worried, are they going to be able to work together? Are they going to be on set? And then in the
Right.
end, it was like their friendship and relationship was rekindled during that time on set, and everything has been just fine and great since that time, even going into season three. And there's just, again, a list of about 25 things that happened within this shoot of God moments. Now, one of them that I'll give a little more detail on, when we were shooting season two, it was still in the COVID time where people were really on edge about what
Yes.
things should and shouldn't be done and
Yeah.
where they should and shouldn't be done. And we had a location we needed to get into, that the best option we had was like a government run facility. So you can imagine in the COVID time, the government stuff was even more restrictive, and
Tighter. Yeah.
and yeah, it was the most. And so I had been calling the office almost a couple times a week. Hey, just wanted to know if you had considered this. Are we going to be able to get in? And the secretary, she got like on a first name basis with me because I was the guy calling in asking about filming at this facility. And
Yeah.
it really just was not going anywhere. And it come to find out, the facility that we were trying to get into had actually been permanently closed to the public. It was scheduled for demolition once they could get around to it. And
Oh,
it was just looking like more and more of a, this isn't going to happen. But I got to the
my
point where I would
goodness.
continue to call just to have them finally give me a no before moving on to something else.
Sure.
So it's getting, a week or so away from filming, and I still don't have a backup option. And I'm calling this place, and the lady asked me, what's the name of the series, and tell me again about it. So I told her Vindication, and let it go. And basically had like my final call. Like, I'm never calling them again if this doesn't happen. Well, I call, and the lady, the secretary that I talked to many times, is like, Jarod, oh my goodness, I went home and I binge watched that whole show. And I went into our director's office and I told him, you have got to make this happen. You've got to let them film there.
Yay!
And she said, and guess what? I'm emailing you a signed signed agreement for you to be able to get into this facility. And a little funny addendum to that. So yeah, we got in and we got to film there, which was really unheard of at the time.
Yeah.
To get in, and but when this lady went in and told her, the director signed it. Well, while we're there filming, one of my assistants or come running up to me. They have big eyes. They're like, Jarod, there's a lady here. She wants to talk to you. And I'm like, oh no, I'm always thinking, what's going to happen? Somebody's going to kick us out of here. And I see this lady come in, walking in, very dressed up. It looked like she was like maybe a city council member, maybe someone from the mayor's office. And I'm like, somebody just realized there's a bunch of people here that are not supposed to be here, and we're going to get in trouble. And the lady comes up and introduces herself. Well, it turns out it was that secretary who had gotten us into the location. That? And so I'm like, well, you're here. Do you want to throw on, we've got some extra wardrobe. And she ended up being in the scene that we were filming there as a background extra.
Nice.
That's great.
Was that a day that I was there?
It was not. It was the prison scenes where Doris Travis and Becky Travis were visiting each other and communicating in the prison. That's where it was. So the lady, the secretary who had gotten us in, she ends up being like one of the ministry workers that was visiting the prison to share the gospel with the inmates.
I remember that scene. Yeah. Oh my goodness. How about that? That's amazing. God just works in amazing ways, doesn't he?
Yeah, and just to bring it back to him, and that it was one of those things. There's nothing I could have done better, said the right words to orchestrate what he brought together of this lady going and watching the show and being touched and impacted to the point that she now took action on our behalf. That's, after you've done this enough times, you realize those things you just can't force them. But when he steps in, he provides for the need.
Absolutely. Venus, what about you? Do you have something?
I do. I actually have two. And one of them, I wasn't even there on the day, but when I went to go film, they had told me about it. And Jarod, you'll probably have to tell the story, but there was a guy that he was an actor, maybe background, I'm not sure, but he was having a very difficult time in his life, like a very difficult. And when he got to set, I think, and Jarod didn't correct anything I say here, but I think he had felt so much peace, and he was sharing, his struggle with some people. And I want to say they prayed over him, completely turned his day around. But is that right, Jarod? Like, is that kind of the story?
Yeah. He was there to be a background, like a police officer there on the scene. It was really, I think depression would be a nice way to classify it, but on the extreme level. And someone else who was there that day just helping out, I think he had brought a vehicle up there or had delivered a meal or something. He worked for a company that specifically deals and helps people who are dealing with that in like law enforcement or in medical profession, firefighters, those type of things is what his company did. So these two guys end up like sitting there next to each other, waiting for time to shoot and strike up a conversation. And it was one of those kind of ordained moments where two people were brought together, and that was on set. It didn't really have anything to do with the filming.
Yeah.
Wow.
I love it.
But go ahead, Venus. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the second one was we were filming when Cameron and I don't know what we were filming. Anyway, we were in a building all together, and I just remember sitting there waiting for my scene to come up, and I was sitting in a room with Todd Terry, who's Detective Travis of Vindication, and then Corey Cannon, who's the co-producer, and we were just kind of talking about different things, getting beyond surface level conversation. And I was sharing with them my kind of current struggle that I was having at the time. And I just remember one of the guys saying, "Can we just pray for you right now?" And I was like, Yeah. So we just stopped and they prayed over me and we just stood there, and I'm just thinking, like, how amazing, one, that we live in a country where we can just do this anywhere and everywhere. But then two, to be surrounded by people who are going to lift you up to the Lord and just like cover you in prayer, like, instead of just saying they're going to pray for you later, like just doing it right then. And then third, to have them be the men leading the way in that and showing that, like, you know, we are the men, we are the leaders, and we are going to do this. And it was just such a nice, comforting moment for me. I was just so grateful for it.
Oh, yes. And you know, it's not only things that can happen in the filming process, but people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
People's lives can be changed.
Yeah. And Jarod, I don't even think you know that, do you, that happened?
Now, I'll say both of these stories are things that happen when I'm not around, or I'm off working or busy.
Yeah, you were filming. Yeah.
You know, Venus, one story that you and I, because I remember you and me were in a room and a conversation struck up, and we both start texting each other in the middle of the room while other people were having the conversation. It was when one of our cast members started saying that in preparing for her role, it made her dig deeper into the Bible and what it meant, and what her character was saying, because she didn't understand it. And we were like, someone was in the room was like, well, you know, what did you come to? She's like, well, I don't want to go to hell. So it was, and I'm like, is this happening? Do you remember this, Venus? Wow. And I like started texting you like, oh my goodness. And then what happens about that moment? All right, Jarod, we're ready to film in the other room. You know, we've got 6 pages. We got to film in 2 hours. So I'm like, oh, wait, you know. And so.
Oh my
I love
goodness.
it. And there's another one on one of the episodes, one of the actors that came on had said that whenever she was shuttled to set, and she wasn't a believer, or maybe she was questioning, I don't know. Anyway, the conversation she had with the driver on the way to set included God, and the conversation she had with another guy on set included God. And then when she and I were talking and I was telling her about how I got my role in Vindication and all of that, she's like, you know, this is the 3rd time that God has come up since I've been here, and I've only been here a day. And she was like, and I didn't get to finish my conversation with her because she had to go film, but she was just hungry to know more. And I was just like, oh my gosh, that's so exciting.
Oh my goodness. Oh, God is in the midst. That's for sure. Oh my goodness. This is giving me chills just hearing these stories. And I'm sure that Jarod, you probably are not aware, maybe even of a lot of the stories, because you're so busy in the filmmaking process, you know, of Vindication.
I wish I could come on set sometime and sit in those side rooms and have those conversations that stick with you for months and years, instead of always being worried about getting the next shot. So yeah, that's very true.
And can I say another one that just popped into mind? Like, I love and I just, Benji's awesome. He's our sound guy. And I just remember there being a day where he was just really digging in his Bible on set, and it just brought him to tears what he was reading. And then Mike, our sound engineer, sound guy, he went over to Benji, and they were just talking, and it was just like Benji is reading out of the Bible to Caleb, and it's just like this, all these guys again leading the way, and you know, bringing your Bible to set and reading out, and it's not awkward for anyone, and it's just like, gosh, God, like you are everywhere, and it's so amazing. I love it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to thank you all for sharing so many of these stories. And if I do want to say that I am a Vindy, and there is a Dave Ebert has created a group on Facebook called Vindication. And so you can go to Facebook group and check out that, or Facebook, and go to that group and check it out. He will post things on there from time to time, especially when a new season is out, and for folks to see. And so we get to talk about some of the issues. Vindication does address a lot of issues in our world today, and that need to be addressed. And it's so well done. The acting is amazing. And so I encourage you to please check out Vindication. I've got all kinds of links for you to check out for Venus. And Jarod, I put Vindy Nation group link and also the vindicationseries.com so that people can check this out. Jarod, what would be something you would want people to know about Vindication?
Oh, put me on the spot there, huh?
Oh, I'm sorry. I
How
didn't mean
many
to put you on the spot.
how many hours do we have? So
Yes, I know. Oh,
let me
you're
say
such a
that.
fan.
Here's my elevator pitch on Vindication is that it's a faith-based crime drama series that tells real world stories,
Yes,
but in a world where God exists.
yes.
And I'd also like to say that it's made by people that aren't coming from Hollywood or New York. So much of our entertainment comes out of those places where maybe their
Yes.
worldview is a little different than the other 48 states, and I
Uh-huh.
think people who maybe have grown tired of the type of entertainment that's fed to them over and over and over should give Vindication a try and just see what a different flavor
Yes.
is like coming from different people who don't have their roots in those two locations.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I've got a comment here. Brooklyn Whitmer. Wow, God is so good. Love that behind the scenes story. Thank you, Brooklyn, for watching today and for commenting. Appreciate that so much. And we will certainly have more on the Vindication series, especially as season 3 gets ready to come out. And so we're looking forward to that. I'm so ready for season 3. And but I appreciate you all, Jarod and Venus, being with me today and sharing those stories. That's exciting to see what God is doing and going to do. Thank you,
Well,
and thank
Janet,
you
I want
all.
to. I
Yeah.
gotta say, I just want to say, Janet, we appreciate you too. Seeing people with your enthusiasm and energy
Oh,
for us going out and playing pretend, and making a
oh,
show. It certainly makes those long nights and days in the heat or in the cold or whatever worth it when we get
oh.
to see people on the other side who appreciate it and enjoy it. So thank you very much as well.
Oh, my
Yes.
honor, and you're welcome. And we need to pray for you all as well. So please keep them in prayer, cast and crew. Thank you again for watching, and thank you for watching on Creative Motion Network. I appreciate it so much. It's a great network to be on and a great family to be a part of. Have faith and look up, friends, where our help comes from. Bye. God bless.